Firnhaber here at Lincoln Disc and Nutrition in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it's time for another 10 minutes of truth. So today I'm going to cover a series of articles that show that glyphosate disrupts female fertility and, to be quite honest, male fertility as well. So glyphosate herbicides now account for about 19% of all herbicides used globally. With over 240 million pounds sprayed annually across farms. But unfortunately, glyphosate doesn't just stay in the soil. It shows up in our bodies as well. And so that is not a good thing. We found measurable glyphosate residues have been detected in the urine of up to 60 to 80% of the U.S. general population. And I just had a toxicity study done on myself, and there were some small amounts of glyphosate in my body. Well, that also includes pregnant women and children. Glyphosate is marketed as totally safe because humans don't have the same enzyme pathways that plants do. However, our gut bacteria have the same enzyme pathways as plants do, so it can really affect our gut microbiome. Stephanie Seneff, who wrote a book, she's a PhD, who wrote a book called Toxic Legacy, says that glyphosate binds strongly to toxic metals such as aluminum, which basically disrupts our intestinal barrier and causes leaky gut, which can lead to all kinds of autoimmune problems and other issues. A comprehensive review published in the Reproductive Sciences pulled together animal and human studies from PubMed showing how glyphosate damages reproductive organs, disrupts hormones, and alters the quality of reproductive cells. Now, PubMed is the huge database that anybody can access online. It shows all the biomedical articles that have basically ever been written. And it's on, you can access it. I access PubMed every week and look up articles. It's just a wonderful resource. I would say that's one of the few things our government does well. So even at safe levels of what's considered safe, glyphosate disrupts your reproductive system. The research reviewed in this article showed a mix of healthy animals, pregnant females, and cell lines exposed to levels of glyphosate considered safe by regulatory standards. Despite these being acceptable levels, the exposure still caused hormone imbalances, oxidative stress, and damage to developing eggs, and shifts in the gene expression that could impact future pregnancies. Glyphosate causes visible damage to the ovaries. In female piglets fed glyphosate-contaminated feed, researchers observed visible ovarian damage, tissue shrinkage, fat accumulation, and cell calcification. The similar thing happened in rats exposed in utero. It definitely affected the eggs in rats and the ovaries in rats. By the way, the damage is permanent and the follicles don't regenerate once they're damaged. Hormone disruption from glyphosate can mimic polycystic ovarian syndrome-like patterns. Estrogen and follicle-stimulating hormone levels drop while testosterone and progesterone rose in animals exposed to glyphosate. In one study, glyphosate increased signals like luteinizing hormone, pushing hormone rhythms towards polycystic ovary syndrome, which makes conception harder and disrupts other systems like insulin sensitivity. And we know that chronically high insulin levels in women can cause PCOS. When a body is exposed, a female body is exposed to glyphosate, the uterus becomes overly sensitive to estrogen, setting you up for disease. So aside from suppressing estrogen, glyphosate also makes the uterus respond too strongly to even low doses, and this can be linked to endometrial hyperplasia or thickening of the uterus. This raises the risk of irregular bleeding, pain, and endometrial cancer. So exposure to glyphosate during pregnancy causes generational damage. And this article says that in one study, glyphosate exposure in pregnant animals altered gene expression in the uteruses of their offspring, even though they weren't directly exposed at all. Another problem with glyphosate is it's often combined with a chemical called polyoxyethylene talloamine, POEA, to help it penetrate plant cells. So what happens is this makes the glyphosate even more toxic. And aromatase, the enzyme that turns testosterone into estrogen, was severely inhibited when glyphosate and POEA were used together. This disruption happened at doses even 100 times lower than the amount sprayed on crops. Glyphosate damages eggs at the cellular level, making pregnancy harder. Glyphosate also drains zinc and raised oxidative stress. Oxidative stress skyrockets when you're exposed to glyphosate, and that really helps crash your immune system, really hurts your immune system. Now, the problem is that in males, glyphosate disrupts testosterone, just like it disrupts estrogen in females. It affects the cells of Leydig in the testicles, which helps make testosterone. It also disrupts the transport of cholesterol into the cells of Leydig, into those cells, and that's where testosterone is made. It triggers a form of programmed cell death in the cells of Leydig, leading to the actual destruction of the cells themselves. So one other thing that I want to just say about this, and then we're going to get to what can we do about it. Glyphosate shuts down your mitochondria. So it really poisons mitochondria, which are the energy production systems in your body. And we need healthy mitochondria to have energy and to feel good and to feel vibrant. We also know that cancer is in many ways a mitochondrial disease, a disease of low mitochondrial function. So what can you do? Now that I've told you all this and made all of you depressed, what can we do to minimize our glyphosate exposure? Well, number one is start switching to organic produce. And this article, and I agree with this, says start with the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen list. So you can look that up online, Environmental Working Group Dirty Dozen list. And these are the fruits and vegetables with the highest pesticide residues. So I know that strawberries and blueberries are on that list. And so there's a lot of other ones as well. The second thing to do is eliminate non-organic wheat and legumes. So, a lot of the things that we assume maybe not have glyphosate in it do. So it's sprayed on wheat, barley, chickpeas, and many other products. Stop eating processed and restaurant foods made with seed oil. So processed foods are loaded with seed oils, which come from GMO plants, which are heavily sprayed with glyphosate. Filter your tap water. A lot of the glyphosate does get into the water system because so much of it is sprayed on crops. And heal your gut. One of the things that we can do here is you do some testing to see if you have leaky gut, or we can test for dysbiosis, or we could test for chemical exposure and toxicity and start find out where you're at, and then start healing that. And that's highly beneficial. So if you're a woman and you're struggling with irregular periods, unexplained fatigue, infertility, or chronic bloating, addressing glyphosate could be a missing piece. And so I would recommend, if you're interested or you're concerned about this, you can get tested for it, as well as a whole broad range of chemicals. And then if you have a problem there, we can begin detoxing. So I hope that this is enlightening you today. I hope that you change your eating patterns. I can tell you I don't eat perfectly, and my detox test, my toxicity test showed that. I eat pretty well, and I do some things right, but I would encourage you to exercise regularly, which really helps your body's detox systems, and eat as clean as you can. I know it's almost impossible to eat clean all the time, but do as much as you can. And then have yourself tested to see where you're at and see what you need to do in order to balance your chemistry and your physiology. Otherwise, this is Dr. Paul Firnhaber here at Lincoln Disc and Nutrition here at Lincoln, Nebraska. And if you want to contact our office, that number is 402-488-2220. We'd love to talk to you and see if we can help you. God bless all of you, and we'll see you next week.